What if I told you these two clips, one from a Hollywood movie, the other from a news report, are both using the exact same tricks to drive up the motion and to shut down critical thinking?
Overnight, growing national unrest. In New York City, dozens of looters seen kicking in windows and breaking into stores across Midtown Manhattan.
Okay, so there's obviously a lot happening here. There's a dystopian film, and then there's something that's depicting real life. And yet somehow they feel the same. Now, I wouldn't say that it's only about what's being shown, but rather let me draw your attention to how it's being shown. Now, remember, you're no longer just being a passive viewer, you're now entering into being an active viewer. So you're not just sitting back and watching, rather, you're opening your eyes to see the ways in which you're being directed to feel, to fear, and to react. Now, let's get into the four techniques being used to create chaos, urgency, and fear. And again, not just in movies, but in real world media. And stick around because number four is going to tie all of this together. Okay, number one, the use of the handheld camera. By definition, the handheld camera refers to a filming technique where the camera is physically held, creating shaky, unstable visuals often used to mimic realism or urgency. So notice in the Hunger Games, in those moments that there's like heightened fear and things are moving fast and chaotic, you'll see the handheld camera being used a lot. Now, this technique is so powerful because what it does is it draws us into the world of the character, into the inner world of the character, where she's feeling panic, where she's feeling instability, confusion, fear. Now, liken that to the imagery of protest that we see in news media. When we usually see it from like handheld camera phones, and it's usually shaky and kind of immersive in that way, that it pulls us in and makes it feel chaotic and urgent. Now, let's talk about why that even works. I could make the argument that it started with cinema. For years and years, decades really, we've been trained to see this in a movie and to kind of make an association with it, that it's something that you see like in documentary footage as well. It's raw, it's unfiltered, it's the camera is shaking. And our brains associate that with an unfiltered experience, even if what we are seeing is actually carefully selected. Okay, now number two, actually, number one and two go hand in hand together, rapid cuts. Now, rapid cuts is an editing style where shots change quickly, often multiple times per second, to create a sense of speed, urgency, or confusion. Now, in the Hunger Games, notice how often you see the camera jumping from shot to shot, from image to image. That's rapid cuts, not unlike what you see in protest footage. Now, let me tell you why this works. So, your brain doesn't have enough time to logically process what's happening from image to image because it's all happening too fast. What this does is overwhelm you emotionally. Number three, motivated camera movement. Now, this is similar to the handheld camera, but with a slight difference. The motivated camera movement refers to the camera's action, like a pan, tilt, or zoom, and how it's directly triggered by something that's happening on screen. It's a response to the character and mirrors their inner experience. So, take the continuation of this scene, for instance. When Katniss runs away from the fighting and into the woods, the camera doesn't just show her running, right? It reacts with her. So it shakes, it stumbles, and it follows her erratically because she's panicked. So, in this way, we as the viewers are experiencing the chaos and fear through her. Again, not that different from what we sometimes see in news media, especially in protest footage when the camera is immersed in the crowd. Now, this technique is not always dishonest, but it is persuasive. And it invites you as the viewer to make a very specific conclusion. Now, number four is one that really pulls all of this together. Montage editing. Montage editing is a series of short shots edited together to condense space, time, and information, usually to create emotional or thematic impact. Now, let me give you a little bit of background on montage editing. So the origins of montage date back to the 1920s when Sergei Eisenstein, who was a Soviet filmmaker, was widely considered the father of montage theory. Now, if you're a film student or into film theory, then you know all about Battleship Potemkin. So, Battleship Potemkin used montage to shape public opinion. Essentially, it was a propaganda film where Eisenstein used rapid sequences of a baby carriage, soldiers, and crowds to incite sympathy and anger. For Eisenstein, editing wasn't just about storytelling, it was psychological warfare. So he believed that if you cut the right images together, then you can control the audience's emotional state. And now the legacy lives on today in modern political ads, documentaries, news coverage. Now, these tools aren't inherently manipulative or even sinister, right? But they are powerful because when they're used without context, then they can really distort perception. They can make a scene or real life seem more chaotic or destructive or scary or emotional more than it really is. Or, hey, maybe the news is showing it exactly how it is, and it is scary and chaotic and destructive, right? But being aware of that and being aware of these techniques and being able to see them and just understand how it all works, then you can kind of take a more active approach in what you're seeing and interpreting what it means. Then you're able to think critically about what's happening rather than just having a huge emotional response. Just remember that when you see these things, when you see these techniques or the handheld camera, you know what it means and how it's meant to make you feel. These aren't just technical decisions, they are emotional drivers. And once you step back and look at something critically, then you're able to see it more often. Now, if this is the kind of breakdown that you're interested in and you want to see more of, subscribe to my account because there's going to be more to come.